From sitting in easy pose with hands in prayer, transition into hero pose. Kneel on the floor while your hands are in prayer position. Raise your hands in high prayer, like an antenna seeking information for your practice, turning prayer hands at the level of the heart, staying quiet for a moment, listening to any messages you may have received. The message may be a color, a symbol, a picture, or a thought. Or sit quiet for a moment, listening to the ebbs and flows of your breath. Now transition onto all fours or tabletop. Start with your hands and knees, with your wrists directly under your shoulders and your knees directly under your hips. Your fingers are facing forward. Begin by moving into cow pose. Inhale as you drop your belly towards the mat. Lift your chin and chest and gaze up towards the ceiling, drawing the shoulders away from your ears. Next, move into cat pose. As you exhale, draw your belly to your spine and round your back towards the ceiling. This pose should look like a cat scratching its back. Also, release the crown of your head towards the floor. Repeat this sequence 2 more times for a total of 3. Inhale, looking up, arch your back for cow. Pull your belly button in, exhale for cat. Last time. Inhale as you arch, and exhale as you pull your button in to round your back. From all fours or tabletop, to transition to thread the needle pose, weave your right hand under your left, where your left hand stays flat on the mat, where you slide your right arm underneath your left until your right shoulder and ear touch the mat. Allow your weight to rest on your right shoulder and ear. Your knees stay underneath your hips. Tops of feet rest on the mat. Continue to breathe. Inhale and exhale, and repeat on the other side. From tabletop, weave your left arm under the right, where you slide the left arm underneath your right until your left shoulder and ear touch the mat. Allow your head to be heavy and make sure that your ear touches the floor. Allow your weight to rest on your left shoulder and ear. Make sure your knees are underneath your hips. Stay here for 1 more breath. Repeat thread the needle pose on the other side, on the right side, except you're going to bring the left hand to the sky as far back as you can to open up the chest. Try to open up a little bit further with every breath. Release the pose and repeat on the other side. Hands in tabletop. From tabletop, weave the left hand under the right, then raise the right arm to the sky, opening up a little bit further with every breath. Now transition to child's pose. Kneel on the floor, touch your big toes together, and sit on your heels. Knees open wide. Fold forward, lay your torso down between your thighs, hands in front of you. Tuck your chin slightly to lift the base of your skull away from the back of your neck. To come up, lift from the tailbone. Return to all fours to transition to worm pose. Bring the knees together. Lift the feet off the ground. Bend your elbows and draw your chest to the ground. Stay here. Inhale. Exhale. Stay mindful with your breath. From here, push your hands up. Walk your knees forward. Sit on your knees, hands in prayer while in hero's pose. Transition into camel pose. Kneel with the body upright and hips stacked over the knees. Draw your hands up the side of your body until your palms reach the sides of your rib cage. With this grip, use your hands to lift the rib cage up for support as you start to open your chest towards the ceiling. Maintain the position of your chest as you reach your hands back one at a time to grasp your heels. If you need a little bit more height, tuck your toes under. Otherwise, the tops of the feet can be flat on the floor. Bring your hips forward so that they stay over your knees. To release, bring your chin to your chest and your hands to your hips. Engage your lower belly and slowly come back up to your knees. Next, come down on all fours or tabletop to transition into downward dog. Push back through the hands to lift your hips and straighten your legs. Rotate your arms to keep your elbows in. Let your head hang and move your shoulder blades away from your ears towards your hips. Keep your tailbone high, your spine staying nice and long. Push your chest and thighs backwards, allowing your heels to sink down. Your gaze should be back between your legs. From downward facing dog, bend your right knee and bring that leg forward as if you were going to step into a lunge. But instead of placing your foot down as you would for a lunge, bring your right knee to the floor on the outside of your right hand. The right shin may angle back towards the left hip or be more parallel to the front of your mat, depending on your range of motion. Your left leg is straight behind you. Your left knee is down on the mat. Square your hips towards the front of your mat. Rest here a moment. Breathe. Breathe in all the positive energy and out any aches and pains. If you feel stable, walk your hands out in front of you. Bring your torso down into a forward bend over your right leg. Keep your hips squared and weight balanced equally on both sides as best as you can. And remember to breathe into any tightness. Walk your hands back towards your right leg. Straighten the body. Bring hands in prayer at the level of the heart. Twist to the right side. Push your left elbow against the outside of your right thigh. Stay mindful with your breath. Then untwist. Return your hands to the earth. Bend your left knee and bring your right arm back to reach for your left foot. Remember to breathe. Breathe in and out any tension, any aches and pains. Breathing into any tightness. Release your left foot. Return your left foot to the mat. Curl your foot. Bring the right foot back to return to downward dog. Switch sides. Repeat the pigeon pose on the left side. From downward facing dog, bend your left knee and bring that leg forward as if you were going to step into a lunge. Instead of placing your foot down as you would for a lunge, bring your left knee to the floor on the outside of your left hand. The left shin may angle back towards the left hip or be more parallel to the front of your mat depending on your range of motion. Release your right knee to your mat. Your right leg should be flat on the floor. Take a look back and make sure that your right foot is pointing straight back. For a deeper stretch, bring your torso down into a forward bend over your left leg. Walk your hands out in front of you. Keep your hips squared and weight balanced equally on both sides as best as you can. And reach your forehead towards the floor. Walk your hands back towards your hips. Bring your hands in prayer, twist over to the left side. Push your right elbow towards the outside of the left thigh. Stay here a moment, breathing out any tightness you may have. To release, untwist, bring your hands onto the earth. Bend your right knee. Your left hand grabs your right ankle. Pull your foot towards you. Release your right foot. Return your right foot back on the mat. Curl your right toes, and your left foot also steps back into downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, Keep your tailbone high and back. Keep your elbows in, head between your arms. Now come down on all fours or tabletop to transition into frog. From tabletop, slowly move your right and left knee out towards the side. Feel free to stop, to hold and continue breathing into any tightness whenever you feel a strong stretch. Avoid pain and do not force your body into a deeper stretch than it's ready for. Continue to open your hips as you turn your feet out towards the side and flex your ankles so the inner feet, inner ankles, and inner knees are touching the floor. Stay here for a moment. Do not hold your breath. Breathing in all the wonderful energy, breathing out any tension, any tightness. Now slowly lower down to your forearms with the palms either flat on the floor or pressed together. If this is too intense, feel free to go back on your hands with your arms straight. But if you're comfortable here, take a moment, make sure to breathe, taking long, slow, deep breaths. From here, walk back on your arms towards your hips. Torso's off the mat, arms are straight. Straighten out the right foot behind you, while the left leg is still angled out to the left side. From here, twist your waist to the left side, causing your right hip to come down a bit and feel a stretch in your right hip and or upper right thigh. Untwist and you're going to transition and repeat on the other side. To transition, return to tabletop, then legs are out wide into frog for a moment. To transition where the left leg goes straight back while the right leg is out wide to the right side. Hands are on the earth, arms are straight. Twist your waist to the right side, causing your left hip to drop to the mat slightly, feeling a stretch in your upper left thigh and your left hip. Untwist, upper body centered. Continue to take nice, deep, slow, long breaths. Push back against your arms, bring your feet into child's pose. Toes are touching, knees are out wide, hands in front of you, forehead on the mat. Now to transition into rabbit pose. Walk your hands back, bring your knees together. Your hands reach your feet or the heels of your feet. Pull your forehead in towards your knees with the top of your head or your crown of your head on the floor. Holding your feet or heels tightly, inhale and lift the hip up towards the ceiling. Roll onto the crown of the head and press the forehead as close to the knees as possible. From rabbit pose, we're transitioning into locust pose. Come down on your belly, your legs behind you, extending your toes straight back. Bring your hands back, raise your head, your chest, your hands off the mat, your legs and your feet off the mat, keeping your shoulders rolled back and up away off the floor. Keep the back of your neck long and lifting your sternum instead of lifting your chin. To come out of the pose, slowly release back down. For bow pose, begin on your belly, legs hip distance apart, bend your knee, bringing your feet towards your head. Reach back with your hands to clasp the outside of your ankles, thighs off of the mat. Roll your shoulders to reinforce an external rotation. Continue to press your shins back and away from your hands as you reach your sternum forward and up, balancing on your navel. Lift your gaze slightly so the curve of your neck is a continuation of the curve of your upper back. To ease out of the pose, release your grip, lower your legs to the floor. Curl your toes, push back with your arms for downward dog. Now for dolphin pose, place forearms on the mat with elbows and palms shoulder distance apart. Reach your pelvis up toward the ceiling, then draw your sit bones behind you. Keep your head relaxed, but do not let it dangle. Gaze between your legs or towards your navel. Bring your knees to the mat, feet together, Knees wide, arms in front of you for child's pose. Feel a nice stretch in your back, remembering to breathe, taking nice, long, deep breaths. From child's pose, lie on your back. Bend your knees with your feet flat on the mat, head and neck down on the mat. Bring your right leg into a figure 4, placing your right ankle above your left knee on your thigh. Weave your hands through, pull your left leg towards your chest. Remembering to breathe, feeling a nice stretch in your hips and maybe your lower back. Straighten out your left leg, where your left leg will be flat on your mat. Bring the right leg over to the left side, keeping a 90-degree bend in the knee. Have your right arm out to the right side of you. Turn your head to the right side where your eyes look at your fingers of your right hand, while your left hand holds down your right knee. Try to keep your shoulders down on the earth. Return the right leg to midline. Straighten out the right leg to meet the left and switch sides. Bend the right knee where the right foot is on the mat. Left leg comes up for a figure 4 where the left ankle is over the right knee on the lower thigh of the right leg. Weave the hands through, pulling the right thigh towards your chest. Stay here for a moment, staying mindful with your breath. Then straighten the right leg onto the mat. Twist to the right side, bringing the left leg over to the right side of the body. The right hand keeps the left knee down onto the mat, while the left hand is straight out to the left side. Your eyes are gazing over to the fingers of the left hand while trying to keep both shoulders down on the mat. Feel a nice stretch in your lower back. To come out of the pose, untwist. Bring the left leg straight down on the mat. Once you're lying flat on the mat, we'll transition to happy baby pose. With your head flat on the mat, bend your knees towards your chest at a 90-degree angle. Hands grab your feet, spread your knees apart, shifting them towards your armpits. Face the soles of your feet towards the sky, and flex your heels into your hand and gently rock from side to side. To come out of the pose, release your feet. Bring your feet back flat onto the ground. Separate your legs and hands out to your side for Savasana. If you would like, close your eyes. Relax your whole body, including your face, your neck, your shoulders. Let your body feel heavy. Let your breathing occur naturally. Let your mind wander. You can bring your attention to your breath, noticing the ebbs and flows of your breath. Stay here for a moment, relaxed and comfortable. When you are ready, open your eyes, bring your knees to your chest, roll over to one side, resting in fetal position for a few breaths. Then, using your hands for support, bring yourself back up into a sitting position. Then sit in easy pose or Indian style, bringing your hands in prayer at the level of the heart.